Hey guys, Sleepy Reader here. Life almost sabotaged me and kept me from making a video today, but I think I'm going to do it here. So I wanted to talk about some of the comics I read in the past 2 days, ones that all really thrilled me or I really enjoyed them in one way or another quite strongly. And so I thought I'd talk about them because some people feel there aren't that many good comics out there anymore, or they're too expensive. And I can't really argue with the too expensive side of it. I guess I can afford it right now. I might not be able to in the future. Then I'll have to switch to trades, get things more out of the library, focus more on digital sales. But for now, I can swing it, and it seems worth it to me. Comics are my favorite form of entertainment these past few years. And they on and off throughout my life have been a favorite form of entertainment, but very strongly now. So for me, it's better to, I hate the word support them, but it's better for me to have these comics exist than not, even if they are expensive. So first up is Kill or Be Killed. It's a $3.99 book. I counted, there are 24 pages of actual comics in here. Then there are various text pages, which, to tell the truth, I read the notes from Ed Brubaker, but in Kill or Be Killed, I do not read the movie reviews. To me, this is not a movie-related comic book. For me personally, I don't really care about these movies that Kim Morgan, not Ed Brubaker, has pulled out as somehow relating to this comic. Maybe someday I'll go back and read them. In the fade out, I did really enjoy the articles in the back. But anyway, 24 pages. The covers are almost always the same, so that's a bit of a shame. The back cover has no ads. There are ads for other comics towards the back, but no ads in the body of the comic. So 24 pages on really nice paper. I guess I'm thinking about money too much here, but it's always on really nice paper. Art and colorist are great, so it's certainly worth paying money for great art and colorists. It'd be great in trade, particularly in a hardback too, if the binding is good. Certainly, these pages go all the way to the edge and everything. This issue, was more of the same. It's almost like boring to keep saying how great Kill or Be Killed is, but it's really great. It's a really good week in comics, even if this is the only issue that comes out. And some of the elements of the story keep getting kind of remixed in a way as they get remixed in the head of our protagonist. The mystery of the demon is no longer, at the moment anyway, considered to be a real demon, but maybe a brain tumor, maybe something else, something connected to his father's depression and his depression. And then we find out some new interesting things about his family background that reflect back on him and reflect back on his father. So the mystery of his father, the mystery of his father's life before, turns out his, I don't want to give away too many of the reveals in this issue. But yeah, so it keeps, even though it's this simple thing about this guy who's either crazy or isn't and has decided to become a vigilante, all of the details just keep getting richer, and we re-examine what's going on in it. It's this very rich, to me, kind of literary experience, which is then kind of frustrating where they, in the back matter, mostly focus on movies. But I was a little nervous in the back matter. Ed Brubaker was talking about how he's just sort of nonstop writing and rewriting scripts for some TV show that he's either the showrunner on or like a major producer on anyway. So he's the co-creator of, and that he has no time for anything. So I hope he has time to keep doing this, because it's just been wonderful, the consistent release of these books is part of the joy of reading it in single issues. If it didn't come out as frequently, I definitely would be switching to trades, I think. But yeah, in every way, this just continues to be great. And it's just unfolding or folding in on itself or something that it just keeps getting richer and richer. So if you're feeling like comics aren't really very good, start with Kill or Be Killed. If you're talking about current comics on the stands right now. In a completely different flavor is this really odd experiment coming out from Fantagraphics Comics. There's a back cover illustration, and it's these current underground figures doing their bizarro take on Bronze Age comics, and purposefully being as garish and over the top as they can be. They call it all-time comics. And there's several series going now, but I don't see a pattern of when which is released, but they're obviously all sort of thematically connected and maybe part of the same world. This cover is amazing. I can't even find out who the artist is who did this cover. Usually they have multiple covers, so I don't even know if this is cover A or what. So this is supposedly issue 2 of Crime Destroyer. It's about issue 6 or 7 of all-time comics overall. And it has this crazy art by Benjamin Marra, who's a pretty well-known current underground alternative artist. The coloring is a little hard to take. I mean, I like the spirit of it just being as gaudy as possible, but it's also at times makes it a little hard to look at the pages. But still, it was well worth reading. The gonzo-ness of it is of these comics in general is growing on me, and maybe it's getting better. And I really, there's certain childlike aspects to it, but there's also kind of a rich play on the Bronze Age type of stories. And I'm getting to the point where I really want to know what's going to happen next. So I'm hoping, now that there's actually been an issue 2 of one of these comics, I'm hoping that we do get a full story, because I'm really curious to see how it plays out. This one's about this ridiculously costumed guy, the Crime Destroyer, who's just a Vietnam vet who's come back to back to America and found his city riddled with crime, and he's out there fighting crime, and he's a vigilante, and there's a whole bunch about, the police and the justice system not accepting his evidence and his vigilante behavior. And the ghoulishly bad guys and all of that. and the hero going over the edge and going from regular vigilante to a vigilante who kills villains is very satisfying somehow. I know it looks ridiculous. So, and it's on this, maybe you can hear me rubbing it, on this newsprint or pseudo-newsprint paper. And so it's 24 pages of actual story, and then it's got here this thing, I haven't read it yet in this issue, which is Al Milgrom reviewing, so it's called Critic Al, and it's Al Milgrom reviewing different underground comics. He reviews The Revenger here, and The Humans, and the Hip Hop Family Tree. The print is crazily small there. I'm going to really have to press my nose to the page to see it. And then there's other kind of fake ads, like this ad for T-shirts. And I'm not even sure what this is an ad for. Hands up in the name, because I haven't read the ads yet. Oh, I think it's a cereal ad. And then the back cover. So along with the 24 pages, you're getting a lot of... Is this a drawing by Stephen Bissette? I think it is. It's Noah Van Sciver and Stephen Bissette. So maybe Noah Van Sciver pencils, Stephen Bissette inks. This is actually another character from one of the other issues. I forget his name now. Guy who wraps himself up in bandages and goes out and fights crime. And this is a crazy... Oh, that's the same bandage-headed guy fighting crime. I can't remember his name, but I know I've read that issue. And here we have the character bio. So, when you add it all up, it's well more than 24 pages, but 24 pages of actual story. So if you're, it hits a totally different mood than these other comics and then superhero comics, but yeah, I'm really digging it. You could definitely just pick up this issue. You don't need to have read the others. And then Curse Words, which I've been enjoying all along and endorsing, I keep enjoying more the deeper we get into it. I'd say Ryan Brown's art has gotten simpler. Maybe the lines have gotten heavier. I almost wonder if he's inking with a different set of tools. He also mostly does his own colors, or he and another colorist do the colors. And the colors maybe are getting more raw too. But the story continues to be a lot of fun and have lots of little twists and turns. As a fantasy story it doesn't feel like it can be an ongoing story that goes on forever, but in a completely different way than Kill or Be Killed, it keeps finding new little ways to become a slightly richer story, and the bits of humor and the characterization grows over time, and I still keep wondering where it's all leading and where it's going to go. So there's a sense of mild unpredictability, which makes it fun. So it's not exactly like some other fantasy story that I've read. It's definitely in the category of fantasy world meets our world, which seems to be a lot of books like that. Birthright comes to mind, and a number of others. But it very much has its own strong voice and a little bit of an underground feel, just maybe because of the Ryan Brown art, but also because of its willingness to go a little extreme with the characters. So anyway, if you haven't tried Curse Words, pick up some. It's probably better if you start with issue 1, so maybe pick up some trades. But you could hop on here and still get a lot out of it. This character is not dead. She just walks around with a hole in her body, and the people in the world called the Whole World seem to find her super sexy. So just love the individuality of this comic. And in a previous video recently, I mentioned Sacred Creatures as a comic that I should be talking more about. And so I have talked about it quite recently, but I hadn't read issue 4. And I now double down on this comic as being highly recommended by me. It's leaping forward to the top of my pile as one of the best comics out there right now. And it got off. It was a tough read in issue 1, as I've said before. And with each issue, it gets to be a better read. And again, the world becomes richer. It's basically, kind of a take on the Apocrypha of the Bible with fallen angels who have become the 7 deadly sins of envy, gluttony, pride, sloth, greed, lust, and wrath. And we learn more about the background of how this angel left behind by God, I assume. They never mention the name God. But, the angel working for the side of good in the Bible, it's very Old Testament, it has been controlling these people. And we gain these fallen angels who have become the 7 deadly sins, the Nephilims. And Naveel is the guardian angel, I guess, who is supposed to keep these people, these Nephilims, in line, and I assume also mete out that kind of Old Testament justice, like Noah's Ark, like the flood and Sodom and Gomorrah. And so Sodom and Gomorrah does feature in here, and it twists our sympathies around a little bit. But then our sympathies get twisted another few times. But a nice thing here, so one of the surprising things about this is it's written by 2 artists, Pablo Raimondi and Klaus Janson. And Pablo Raimondi did this cover, and he's done all the art so far. And as I've said, he's a very good artist, but a bit on the photo referencey side. And very good colors in here, too. I forget if he does his own coloring. Chris Chuckery and Brian Reber do the colors for the Pablo Raimondi art. But so this issue is the first issue that Klaus Janson does some art. And I thought his art, here it is, was very good. I'm glad they're just using it for the past kind of biblical, historical scenes, because it is a different style. It's more old school comic books, I guess, than the photo referencey kind of thing. So, but the colors look really good. The colors are by Dean White in the ancient history stuff, and this ancient stuff adds a huge amount to the textures of the story. It's not like this is just filler or something like that. So then we start reading and seeing the characters in the present in a new light, and so it's almost like now having two mysteries of what happened in the past and what happened in the present. And this particular issue has just an amazing set piece where this character who is the which sin is she? She's Lust. Yeah, she's Lust. Makes everyone to stop this priest who's the son of the angel from rescuing the baby. I can't explain it all, but anyway, to stop him from rescuing the baby, she makes everybody in the hospital lust after the priest, and so they're all, and he's not really a priest, he's some kind of superhuman being. They're all having an orgy, and whenever they see the priest, they just start chasing after him. They all lust after him. So it just gets really wackadoo, but in a really good way. And so this is just a really great read and a really immersive read, a really rich read. It's 48 pages for $5, so it's more than twice the size. Well, it is twice the size of these indie issues, all of which have about 24 pages of story. So it's a double-sized issue, and each issue is a double-sized issue for $1 more. So that's a really good bargain. I'm going to be silly and pull out my calculator here. So it's a $5 book, and I get it for a discount. So I get it for 75%. So I get it for $3.75. $3.75 divided by 48 equals, so is that right? It's 7.8 cents a page, so around 8 cents a page. And a book like Kill or Be Killed, not counting the back matter, it's 24 pages. It's a $4 book, so with my discount I pay $3. Oh, sorry about that. This is me being obsessive. I pay $3 divided by 24 equals, so 12.5 cents a page. Now, a Marvel book, this is one of the few Marvel books I get physically, and I really like it. And I love reading it with my daughter. And I think it's a future classic, or not classic, but it's a really good book. It'll be remembered well by the people who read it. It is a $4 book, and it has just 20 pages of comics. So, but I pay $3 divided by 20 equals, so it costs me 15 cents a page. So you go from a little less than 8 cents a page to 15 cents a page. So pretty much, in a sense, this thicker, slightly more expensive book cost me half as much as a Marvel book costs per page of entertainment. And the truth is, the pages in here, well, there are these big double-page spreads in this issue, but most pages have way more going on, story-wise, text-wise, and art-wise, than a typical superhero comic. I haven't actually read this issue of Moon Girl. Moon Girl's a little denser than some comics I read, but still, it's a very fast read. Anyway, I was thinking about price. I don't know what to conclude about all that. Clearly, this Sacred Creatures is the best deal out there for in single issues at the moment for me. So I will hopefully be back with another video tomorrow. But I'm not guaranteeing it because schedules are very tight in my family right now.